Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. This one is player rankings, where myself and George from Ingenuity Fantasy, which if you don't know about Ingenuity Fantasy, check out their link in the description below. It's ingenuityfantasy.com. They've got all sorts of good stuff on there. It's completely free. They've got Opta match stats. They've got articles from various people within the FPL space. They've got a transfer wizard, which will help you with what players to buy, at what price, and what position, etc. And then they've got the player rankings, which we will be talking about today. So yeah, if you haven't already, do check out that website. This one is forwards. Apologies in advance that the premium forwards, the pricing on George's list is wrong, but all of the players are on my list anyway, and the price is correct on my list. So yeah, anyway, let's get into it.
Right, welcome back. We are now talking about forwards, and we're starting off with cheap forwards. So, as always, João Pedro, Brighton's fixture is still great, so he stays at 1. Evan Nilsson, again, Bournemouth are just playing some of the best football in the league, and that guy seems to be involved in everything. But let's talk about the return of Chris Wood. So he's returned to number 3 for both of us. I think, the United fixture's out the way, but it's more... their 5th fixture coming up is Wolves, who are just giving goals away for fun. So, he's still getting returned. The guy's still producing. So, Wood season, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was the City and United fixtures that were the reason he was further down the list. Turns out he is ridiculously good, so those bad fixtures didn't even matter. But the fixtures now get better. So, yeah, he is firmly top 3 in my list and your list.
Yeah, for sure. Now, regrettably, as a result of Chris Wood being Chris Wood and, those slight improvements in fixtures, I have had to slide down King Wissa. Brad's still refusing to give him his flowers for whatever reason, even though Brentford are scoring for fun at the moment and he seems to be a big part of that. Why are you still not in on him?
Well... Technically, he's gone up in my list, but that's not for not for any reason that himself really. But yeah, don't get me wrong, he's great. Brentford at home are great. Their fixtures, as kind of the 5-game week window shift, as we've seen with Mboma, their fixtures just continually shift to getting worse. So there's too many other good cheap forwards with good fixtures. Evan Nilsson, Bournemouth, great fixtures. Both the Brighton boys, great fixtures. Wolves, great fixtures. Fulham's fixtures are getting good. And Wissa's just aren't. I don't think he's bad. It's just a fixture thing.
Yeah, and, that's completely fair because I know we normally do only like to talk about the next 5 game weeks because anything beyond that, there's so much variations that can happen. But it is worth mentioning that, within their next 7 fixtures, from game week 19 to game week 22, they've got Arsenal and then, Southampton, but away, which is where their form's been bad, and then City, and then Liverpool. Now, Arsenal, City, and Liverpool as 3 out of 4 game weeks in a row. It's just a big argument to not bring him in, and that's why he's gone down slightly on my list in lieu of Chris Wood. But he just still does pluck goals out of somewhere. So I'm still keeping faith, at least for now. He's a definite hold. Yeah, he's a definite hold, but he's probably not a buy at the moment.
So we're going to have this conversation in the following weeks when his fixtures get even worse and he drops further down my list, but you refuse to drop him down yours.
He might even fall off your list. Yeah, I don't want to put him too low because he's been... I mean, his numbers in the start of the season were just so exciting, but fingers crossed he can keep it together because he's got, my mouth has written some checks that I need him to cash. So. And then Raul has slid back up our lists. He seems to have found his finishing boots again. As you say, Fulham's fixtures starting to look good again, and Fulham are just playing ball in general. So hopefully he can keep it up.
Fulham attack's good. I mean, it's not even a form thing for me really. I didn't even think Raul was playing that bad. He was missing kind of easy chances, which means that he was getting easy chances, which is a good thing for me. So
the Darwin argument,
exactly. I'm an XG guy, not a G guy. So yeah. Well, but yeah, I mean, fixtures are getting good again. So yeah, I think he's great, especially at 5.5 as well. He's kind of the cheapest viable forward option, and he is probably on penalties, I want to say.
Yep.
He's probably on penalties. So
I'd imagine so.
For that price, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And also, I really think as a differential option, Jamie Vardy is continuing to roll back the years. I know there's not much movement in my list, and the main reason he's gone up is because we've seen Cunha now move into the premium section because he's past 7 million. But I mean, Vardy, just the good thing about Vardy, I think the thing I like about Vardy is that he's tried and tested in the Prem. He is not scoring goals in the Premier League is like second nature to the guy. He's never going to get ahead of himself. He's never going to let a miss, sort of affect his game. And I think we're seeing that sort of consistency translate into his game because, Leicester will probably get relegated, but that will still not stop this guy from scoring goals. He's just got a nose for it. So I think as a differential option, you know, if you want to be able to trust one of these guys, I think just on trust alone, Vardy is near the top for me.
Yeah, he has got a lot more minutes. I think I said this last week. He's got a lot more
Yeah.
minutes than I expected him to get this season. Now that might have been largely due to the fact that Daka was injured, but yeah, he's got way more minutes than I thought he would. So I think it's a bit of a disservice to put him at 8, but there's just so many other good cheap forwards. So
Yeah.
that's the only reason he's down there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then, so we've got a couple running out. Delap's, chugging along nicely. Hoyland looks like he might get some minutes now, but we'll wait and see. One other key difference. So Welbeck, you've got Welbeck at 4. Welbeck does not sniff my list. And the reason for that is, the last 2 games, he was benched 2 games ago, didn't even get brought on. And then last game, he's only got 20 minutes. And I think, Brighton are so loaded talent-wise. And, they've got, players returning like Igor. And so I think what we're seeing now is quite a lot of reasons for Welbeck to not be starting, really.
I just think he was too good. I mean, don't get me wrong. If he continues to get bad minutes, then he will certainly slip further down my list. But I just think that he was too good at the start of the season for him not to be getting regular minutes going forward. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there must have been a valid reason for him not getting those minutes. But I think that if he was fully fit and fine, he'd have started at least one of those games. But like I say, he will be slipping down my list if he doesn't continue to get, or if he doesn't get the good minutes that he was getting previously.
Yeah. Sorry, I just realised I said Igor. I meant to say, Jorginho. Sorry, we're still seeing Jorginho getting those minutes, which we all thought that when João Pedro came back that we would see Jorginho take a step back, but he's started 2 of the last 3, and I think João Pedro's playing further forward, and I think that this is the main thing that's hurting Welbeck. So, and also I think I mentioned it before. We've just never seen Welbeck produce game after game after game in the entire years he's been in the Prem. He's never really been that sort of goal scorer. So I've always just had the feeling that it was fairly unsustainable. And I think his minutes now just are reflecting that a bit.
Yeah.
And then so as a final talking point, so it's an absolute crime that this man can't be further up because I mean we're both so high on him. John Duran, every time he gets the ball, seems to, produce something incredible. Doing it against Bayern in the Champions League, doing it like every time he comes on. And last week was the first time that we've seen him, actually get the start. And I think that has to speak for something because he's been kept in the shed for so long with Villa. Every time he's come on, he's looked incredible. Came on 20 minutes against Everton, scored. 20 minutes against Wolves, scored. 20 minutes against Leicester, scored. And, then he sort of took a little bit of a step back. But against Southampton, that 57-minute stint, he also scored. We're just seeing the talent come through. If this was on talent, he would be even higher up the list, and I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah.
But fantasy-wise, I think he's now creeping into relevancy with that, 60-minute stint against Southampton.
Yeah, for me, he isn't creeping into relevancy, but he is an unbelievable footballer, an absolutely outrageous striker. It's a crime that he's not getting more minutes somewhere, especially as a West Ham fan when we could have bought him. He was basically begging to join us. and we decided to buy
Yeah.
Fulkrug instead, who is 31 years old. But we won't go into that anyway. Yeah, he's an unbelievable striker, but I'm a minutes guy, so unless you're starting most games, then you can't be near my lists, unfortunately.
Or called Madueke.
All called mate, or play for Chelsea, yeah.
Right, and then on to premium. So again, not a huge amount of movement. I'm gonna rotate Isak and Jackson pretty much every week. I'm probably gonna rotate Solanke and Watkins every week. Uh, as you can see, Cunha, now he's moved above the 7 million mark. We're now considering a premium. Um, but yeah, you mentioned that you seem to have settled somewhat on your order. So is this how it's going to be moving forward then?
Yeah, apart from fixtures based, but yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, last week I mentioned that I really didn't have a handle on these, the kind of Isak to Watkins, Havertz, that kind of area. I didn't have a handle on it at all. I now think I do. It was kind of Solanke that was ruining it for me. I think just because I didn't know where to put Spurs. I almost falsely trusted Spurs because their attack
Yeah.
had been so good at the start of the season, and I, for some reason, expected that to continue, especially with good fixtures. But yeah, no, Isak and Jackson are two that could kind of switch potentially, but yeah, those two are now firmly above the likes of Solanke, Havertz, Watkins. Especially now we've seen Watkins actually get benched. I didn't think that Emery was actually ever going to do it, but and
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I don't think it's going to be a common theme at all. But the fact he's done it once now, yeah, does suggest that he's not afraid to do it again.
Yeah. I think that's just also Duran just imposing himself, like that. There's only a certain amount of time you can keep someone who's that good and producing every time they come on. There's only a matter of time before they end up starting regularly, and I think that's why he's crept into my list. You're right; it's probably not going to be for a while, but I mean, on a talent level, I'd be shocked if by the end of the season we're not seeing him at least get minimum 40 minutes a game. Come on in that sort of time if things aren't going well. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much where I land on these things. Cunha, I think if we see Cunha produce slightly better, he does have the potential to get above Havertz for me. Not least because I need to see a bit more out of Arsenal's attack. But in the same vein, I do need to see a bit more out of Cunha. But he is definitely above your Matetas and Gakpos and whatnot. So I think 7's pretty fair for him.
Yeah, I mean he's on penalties, which Havertz isn't,
Yeah.
or most of the time Havertz isn't with Arsenal. You never know when Saka's just going to hand over a penalty randomly.
Yeah.
But he plays for a significantly worse team. So yeah.
Yeah.
Another interesting point actually, which forgot to mention, but Watkins took a penalty, which not this week,
Yes.
the week before, but
Yeah.
he is really bad at them. He shouldn't take penalties because he is actually very, very bad at them. But he has taken a penalty, and the fact that he scored it, albeit really not convincingly, means that,
Jankily, yeah.
it means that he probably does take the next one. So that is something to know.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, 100%. Hopefully in the future it'll be Big John Duran. But yeah, you're right. Definitely for now. For now, it's why Watkins isn't slipping further, because, I mean, if your minutes would be rotated, I think a bit of that is alleviated by his pen presence. So, yeah, that rounds out our forward section. So, yeah, let us know what you think of the list. Let us know if there's anyone we missed, and we will see you next week.
And that is all for this one. If you like the video, make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe. Do check out ingenuityfantasy.com. The link is in the description if you want to look at the match stats from Opta, the player rankings that we've discussed today, the articles from various different people in the FPL space, and then the transfer wizard for who to buy. If you like this one, do subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.